Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Season 3 World Championship. Coming up in a few moments will be the second quarterfinal showdown of the day. Europe's Gambit versus Korea's Najin Black Sword. But first, let's take a look back at the third game of Fnatic versus Cloud9, and it has to start with a picks and bans. I actually felt like Cloud9's composition was superior to Fnatic's in that third and final game because I didn't feel like Fnatic had enough damage sources to back it up. What's your thoughts on this?
So there's two things to me that are really interesting. Number one, the fact that Sneaky randomly pulled out Corki, not randomly, but he pulled out Corki in the third game. I had expected, because of the first two games that he didn't even play Corki, it was really strange that he would essentially change the style of AD because Corki is not a utility AD and he had just played Ashe. And the other stylistic difference in Cloud9's comp that they're probably not accustomed to is the fact that Balls is essentially useless until 20 minutes. Split pushing Vlad takes a long time to ramp up. You have to play passive, which is unlike C9.
That said, though, if that split-pushing Vlad had ever gotten rolling, Shen really wouldn't have been able to stop it in the late game. That's Spectral Wraith Vlad. But if you don't get that split push underway, you're stuck with the Spectral Wraith Vlad in team fights, and if you don't have that Zonius, you're just not going to survive in 5v5s. Yeah,
I think the Corki pick was also specifically knowing Kassadin was coming in. Corki's one of the better dueling AD carries. Like, if you're Ashe or Varus shooting a Kassadin, you're going to lose that fight. It's going to be pretty rough, whereas at least Corki can burst through a little bit, get some damage to the Triforce, some health as well, and try to win that fight. It just didn't work out.
I feel Ashe would have still set up a lot better in their team fights, combining way better with the way Cloud9 plays. Although, I do agree that Fnatic's early team comp wasn't good enough, but the first blood really swung, or really balanced the scales back into Fnatic's favor.
Talk to me about that early game, because Cyanide managed to pick up a double kill after the first blood, and then managed to pick up a third kill. And I was a little anxious, because even with the 3 kills, he wasn't farming the jungle. Meteor still out-leveled him. You know, talk to me about the early game and how that progressed.
They actually went for a buff contest in Meteor's jungle while he's still had Smite, which was pretty predictable as he got helped by the bot lane. And he could save his Smite. Cyanide should have actually he bought a Madrid, so he should have just went around, cleaned his jungle, went to a quick level 5, and he could have snuck a dragon really easily alone. I like that Cyanide goes for ganks for pressure, especially against a farm-heavy jungle like Meteos, but I think there's, as Double F told me during the game, you need to find a balance between farming too much and ganking, and I think Cyanide went a little bit too heavy on the ganking side.
And the thing that Cyanide did well is Vlad, like I said, is a time bomb. At like 15 to 20 minutes, when he becomes an unstoppable, unkillable split pusher, he's got Flash Ghost. He needs to get to that point where he cannot die. He died too early. You can't. The thing that Cyanide did well is he ganked bottom really smartly. I feel like Balls, his Tides of Blood actually showed that Lee Sin was in the brush, but he didn't notice, and he still ended up dying to that gank, and that's what really swung the game, because if Cloud9 had just dragged this game out, which is uncharacteristic of them, but if they had dragged out to 20 minutes, nobody would have been able to stop Vlad.
Yeah,
Vlad.
Yeah, I agree too. And to go back to that with Cyanide, I mean, getting that fast mob dreads, if you can come over, because if you're playing on blue side and you can queue over the back of the Dragon Pit, incredibly hard to even detect that that is going on. And all he had to do, again, is just go through the jungle really quickly. So yes, Fnatic did get 2 kills early, but I think we all felt like he didn't really maximize those games.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. And even just to sort of solidify your point even further, that lane was the solo lane of Cloud9. Balls was not going to go put wards down in the Dragon Pit. Like, the entire game was set up for that play.
Yeah, I mean, a Vlad contesting Dragon at 6 minutes, I don't think so.
No,
not at all. Well, now that you guys have heard what we've had to say about the games, let's send it over to Professor Kobe at the Telestrator for a lesson in League of Legends.
All right. Well, Fnatic did win that series, but the clip that we actually have prepped for you is from Game 2, and it's a team fight that Cloud9 actually won. And one of the main things I wanted to demonstrate here was the difference in item builds and how High going different than most mid laners nowadays on Fizz rushing the Hourglass. In this situation, it greatly benefits him. So just keep an open mind with your item builds always. We'll look at that Hourglass a little bit later. Right now, High's getting caught out, he's on the run, and Fnatic are going to pursue him. Let's watch this slowly at 50% speed. We can see him come through. Soaz, looks like they've got High all cornered. He's going to flash away immediately, and then Soaz answers with a flash. He actually positions himself for the Urchin Strike of High to gain some more, pause here, to gain some more distance. Every inch counts. Because High got to be able to use his ability, Urchin Strike, to get that small amount of distance, it allowed him to Zanya's in a very good position here. And he also got off his ultimate first. These skill shots that are about to land right onto Peke do a whole bunch of work. Sneaky, by the way, with his item build, the Legolas build that Crepo called it from Europe, hit its peak right now. He's got full attack damage and the armor penetration from Last Whisper. So this is going to take a huge chunk out of Peke. Because Hai has that hourglass, he gains those precious few seconds to stay alive for the rest of his team to collapse. Now we'll watch the rest of it at 50% speed, and we'll see the super dive coming in from Meteos and Hai that we see much later in the game as well to be so effective. And even though Cloud9 commit 2 members up here to finish off Peke, they hook and then they box up Soaz under the turret. So while Meteos is running for his life, they're also trading tanks here, taking out this very tanky Zac, and Cloud9, Balls, he's going to flash right into the squishies here. Beautiful play from him. He ignores the bloblets while they're on the ground, and he catches the rest of Fnatic's backline completely off guard. By the way, another piercing arrow from Sneaky right there is what enabled Balls to grab that extra double kill and turn that fight ultimately in Cloud9's favor. Lesson for today, I guess, is variance in your item builds, guys. You don't want to tunnel on one thing all the time. With that, I'm going to send it back to the guys at the desk.
That is a lesson that everybody needs to learn. So with one quarterfinal match down, let's go ahead and take a look at the updated bracket. Fnatic has advanced into this weekend's semi-final best of 5 series, where they await the winner of Tuesday's matchup between China's Royal Club and OMG.
And if you want to watch Fnatic take on the Chinese champions in their semifinal showdown live at the Galen Center, head over to lolesports.com/tickets for all the information.
Okay, guys, earlier today we asked you which team's playstyle has impressed you the most during World so far and why. And here's what you guys have had to say. At Timsika, he says, the team that has impressed me the most has to be OMG. Such crazy aggression. I tend to agree with that, but it didn't work out so well against SKT.
No, that was a rough game. They kind of all limped into that game too right there. But I like to see the teams that go super aggressive because it's just a lot of fun to watch as a spectator, and the controlled aggression is actually very effective.
And I can't wait because when 2 Chinese teams go head-to-head, if you've been watching the LPL, it makes for very entertaining games.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, with millions and millions of kills. At August Axelson, he says that the consistent map control and coordinated roaming by Fnatic is what has impressed me the most during Worlds, and I think that just shone through in this quarterfinal.
Yeah, they really impressed me as well. I didn't expect them to play so clean, and this is actually goes into why I picked. Wait, I ended up picking Cloud9, but then I swapped it to Fnatic halfway through the thing.
Which didn't
I had
count.
that NA
Which
pride,
did not
dude.
count.
It didn't count. I'm sorry, I failed you guys.
Yeah, no more apple pie, apparently. At Lezerald, he says that SKT-T1, that 12-minute inhib, was mind-blowing. Pulling that off required true trust between each other as a team. And of course, it required OMG
Getting a little bit
solo,
too far ahead,
yeah,
one by one feeding train.
We kind of felt like, at what point should you back off from a tower and let SK have
At
them?
the same time, those were 4 really good charms by Ari, and that was just some next level play. Nobody ever expected 3 towers to go down there and an inhibitor. Nobody called it. We were jumping in our seats here going like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I think it's easy to say that OMG made some misplays in retrospect, but to think that SK Telecom could possibly do that, that turret aggro juggle was amazing. The way they used the Elise Spiderlings, the charms, I mean, everything. I wouldn't have even thought that was possible.
Yeah, it was an incredible play, and we'll be seeing their matches tomorrow. Right now, though, because we read your guys' tweets on air, that does mean that the 3 of you will be winning that Logitech G602S gaming mouse, so congratulations. And the rest of you, keep hitting us up with your answers. We are at LOL Esports, and be sure to use the hashtag Worlds.
But guys, we know you're not just in it for the mice, you're also passionate about League, and you want to keep this show poppin'. That's why you should head over to bit.ly/worlds1 and answer a few questions to help us bring you more of what you like.
That's the number. And I guess, you know, you guys know what we want more of. Tomorrow's going to be the quarterfinals. They will be continuing with 2 more best-of-3 series. Up first, the Gamma Bears try to make it 2 Summoner Cups in a row for Taiwan, but first they'll have to get out of the quarterfinal standings. In their way is Korea's very impressive SK Telecom T1.
And in our second series, it's a rematch of the Chinese Regional Championship as the top-seeded Royal Club looks to make it 2 in a row against OMG. That action starts Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific and 4 a.m. Wednesday for those in Central European time.
Yeah, but don't go anywhere because we still have 1 more quarterfinal battle tonight. It will be Gambit versus Korea's #1 seed, Najin Black Sword.
And while the players on Korea's top-ranked squad took different paths to become members of Black Sword, today they're stepping on the stage for the first time, determined to make the journey to the Staples Center.
이번에 롤챔 가게 돼서 너무 영광적이고 그리고 이번 결승전이 스테이플 센터라고 되게 유명한 곳에서 하더라고요. 올라온 것도 정말 기쁘지만 꼭 좋은 성적 얻었으면 좋겠어요.
제 나이는 27살이고 그리고 이제 팀 내 대부분이 거의 20대 초반인 선수들이에요. 그래서 좀 나이 차이가 많이 나는 편이죠.
제가 대학교를 입학을 했어요. 근데 왜 스카우트 제의가 온 거예요. 한번 해보지 않겠냐고 연습생으로.
프로게이머로 너무 하고 싶어서 좀 제대를 해서 팀을 많이 찾아봤는데 그 당시에 팀이 별로 적었고 그 중에 제일 센고 강한 팀이 낮은 팀이어서 제가 지원을 하게 됐어요. 사실 저희가 윈터 우승을 하게 된 이후로 계속 성적이 부진했어요. 한국 자국 리그에서. 조별 예선에서도 떨어져 보고 사람들이 좀 낮은 소드에 대해 인식이 좀 많이 안 좋아진 것도 있거든요. 그래서 팀 내에서 굉장히 힘든 위기를 많이 겪었었는데 사실 그래도 그때마다 친구들이 저희 팀원들이 그리고 감독님과 코치님들이 그래도 끝까지 최선을 다 해보자. 그리고 어떻게 보면 조금 의미 따르면서 이번에 롤드컵에 이제 8강 진출을 하게 됐거든요.
이제 이런 큰 무대에서 경기를 하는 게 저는 처음이거든요, 거의.
글쎄요, 마음은 1위를 하고 싶은데 그래도 적어도 저는 4강 이상은 갈 것 같아요.
저희가 다른 팀들에 비해 연습 시간이 좀 많다고 생각되기 때문에 이번에는 충분히 우승을 노려볼 만하지 않나 싶습니다.
제가 한국에서는 좀 그래도 알려진 편이긴 한데 해외는 없어서 이번에 한번 탑을 위해서, 1을 위해서 가보도록 하겠습니다.
그러니까 낮은 소드가 잘 할 때나 그리고 약간 성적이 부진했을 때도 저희를 항상 관심 있게 지켜봐 주시는 팬들에게 저희를 응원해 주셨다는 게 절대 헛되지 않도록 이번 시즌 마지막에서 좋은 성적을 거두겠습니다. 이번에 롤드컵 제일 큰 무대잖아요. 그 무대 안에서 바뀐 새로운 낮은 블랙 소드가 저희 경기력을 다시 입증을 한번 해보려고 생각을 하고 있어요.
Well, that video definitely makes me wonder how much they've been practicing. This is the team that we've been talking about that we don't know how to scale them because it's been a fair while before we've seen them perform on a professional level.
Yeah, but they've had so much time to sit there and study. They brought their sister team White Shield over to scrimmage in basic darkness, and in fact, all the scrimmages they were playing today was with their sub-mid laner just to get a taste for the other teams and keep their main strategies still in their back pockets.
Well, it is now time to make some predictions. 3 of you guys foresaw Fnatic's quarterfinal victory coming up, and 1 of you tried flip-flopping more than Fizz.
Who would that be?
Benedict
sure.
Arnold over here.
I saw the game 3 coming, dude. I saw it coming.
You did, but unfortunately your pick was locked in. So now it's time to see who you think will win our next quarterfinal matchup. We're in double of case in which team he'll throw under the bus after a loss. Najin, Black Sword, or Gambit? Who will be our second semi-final team? I want to start this one with Freak.
I'm going to start things out saying that it's going to be Sword. I think they're an incredibly strong team. The fact that teams won't have a read on them is very important. And on top of that, Gambit's been very inconsistent so far. So I think that all points to a Sword victory.
Crippa?
I'll have to go with Sword as well, I believe. Gambit does have the group stage advantage, but they were a little bit too shaky. I think Sword has been practicing so much, and I think Sword has an edge.
Yeah, I'm going to stick... Nice pun. I'm going to stick through this one the entire way because you guys are haters, okay? My vote is Sword. The roster is really strong. They have an all-star AD carry. They seem unpredictable, or not unpredictable. They're unscoutable. They could do any strategy that they've been practicing for months, and there would be no way for Gambit to figure it out.
You sure? You don't want to change?
I'm not going to change it, dude. I'm getting so much flack for flip-flopping.
I'm going to take Najin Sword as well. Again, we've been over it. They're hard to scout, but their primary problem was their play calling. When Machnoon left the team and Expression moved from Shield to Sword, this was Sword's attempt to create an incredibly powerful world-class team. And on paper, their talent is absolutely amazing. If they've gotten their play calling together, and their pick and ban phase was also pretty poor before, and that's a big part of why they got knocked out of groups in Champion Summer, but they've had some time to work on it. If it's better, I think they can take Gambit.
We'll have to see if their play calling can come into effect against Gambit, who are able to get early advantages, and we'll be seeing that in just a moment. When we come back from the break, Analyst and Gambit will battle Prey and Najin Black Sword for a spot in the semi-finals. The Season 3 World Championship will continue after these short messages.